Joining me to speak on the current state of cricket in South Africa is Rob Howing, Sport24's chief writer. What are your thoughts on the much reduced itinerary for India's summer cricket tour of South Africa?
Well, it's a nightmare for the South African cricket public because initially everybody thought that the Indian visit was going to be the sort of blue chip trip of the summer. Much excitement. Something like 12 matches had been initially scheduled. But because of the Indian authorities' rather hardball stance against South Africa and tensions between certain personalities, ego clashes, etc., the Indians have flexed their considerable muscles. As you know, they are the sort of the superpower commercially and financially in world cricket, and they've decided that the tour will comprise only 5 matches, which is a massive blow to a lot of the South African franchises, which were hoping to have games. You know, when you reduce an itinerary from 12 matches to 5, a lot of centres are going to lose out. So your smaller centres like Bloemfontein, for instance, don't get a match at all. And the big casualty really is Newlands, where there is not going to be a New Year test this year, which is almost unheard of, because the New Year test is it's called the sort of marquee test, if you like, of the South African summer. The players all love it, and it's not going to happen. So that has really devastating consequences for South African cricket, and also for Test cricket as a whole. The credibility of Test cricket, I think, is taking a little bit of a battering.
Are there any options to fill the gap at Newlands during the period when it would have staged the regular New Year test?
Unfortunately not. It's one of those situations where a lot of people have been saying, a lot of our readers, for instance, have been saying, oh, well, okay, if the Indians don't want to play over New Year at Newlands, to have that extra test match at Newlands, then why don't we invite somebody else? Unfortunately, it's not so simple, because everybody else of the sort of major powers in cricket is already tied up. They're all involved in other itineraries. I mean, England are playing Australia in an Ashes series. New Zealand are tied up, the West Indies are tied up, and the only countries that are actually available at the moment to play test matches are the sort of what we call the minnows of test cricket, which is Zimbabwe and Bangladesh, which are not the sort of teams, with due respect to them, who are going to fill South African stadiums, because South Africa would be expected to beat them very comfortably in home conditions. So a plan B, unfortunately, just doesn't exist. And the only suggestion I can make is that perhaps Cricket South Africa should consider bringing the domestic T20 competition into the New Year period, perhaps, and having creative things like double headers, for instance, at certain grounds, with Newlands obviously a strong candidate, given that it's beautiful summer weather, people are on holiday, and that might be one way of filling the gap. But it's a very sad situation for South African cricket.
Is South Africa getting a fair deal as the #1 ranked country over test matches in general?
No, is the short answer, really. I mean, everybody else seems to be playing series that are involving at least 5 test matches. I think the Proteas players must be very envious when they look at, for instance, India often committing to play 5 test series against England. We're about to start the second of back-to-back Ashes series between England and Australia, where they've each played 5 test matches in England. There will be 5 test matches now in Australia. And the South African players must be thinking, what have we done wrong? We are the #1 ranked team. We should be very popular. We're right at the top of our game. We want to play lots of test cricket, and we're getting so few matches and playing far too many really, really short series, which again, it brings me back to this whole issue of credibility around test cricket. The overall credibility of test cricket is really being stretched.
And in your opinion, how well do you think South Africa played in their first ODI against Pakistan this week?
It was a very strange game. They played very poorly for really, I suppose you could say, about 4/5 of that match. It looked as though Pakistan were on top of South Africa very convincingly, and then there was the most remarkable Pakistani batting collapse, as only Pakistan can, really. They are renowned as a team that sort of has these very strange implosions, if you like, from time to time, and South Africa managed to sneak in the back door. You've got to give them praise for doing that. The one thing the South Africans did was keep their heads in the field. Our bowling effort was pretty good, but from a batting point of view, the South African team still looks very, very short of ideal on the batting front. A lot of attention needs to be given to that area, and the former coach Gary Kirsten has got involved again just for a short stint, a little bit of mentoring of the batsmen. So it'll be interesting to see if his little tweaks and assistance comes in valuable in the next few days.
What can they do to regain their respect as a one-day powerhouse?
What they've got to do really is fix up their batting. The bowling is fine. The fielding is I think improving again. They're looking a little bit more like the sort of sharp machine that they were in the past. But they've really got to work on the batting. Things will improve a lot when somebody like Hashim Amla, who is back in South Africa because awaiting the birth of his second child, which has been quite a slow process, unfortunately, and the team are desperate to get Hashim back in the mix. When he gets there, he should help to give a lot of stability and big runs towards the tail end of the series, which hopefully will be this, at the situation when South Africa are pushing for a series victory, because we've never actually lost a bilateral one-day series to Pakistan. So 1-0, at least it's a good start. For all the imperfections, they have got a 1-0 lead, and so it means that we just need 2 wins from the remaining 4 games to win the series. So it's not looking too bad.
So we still have a chance.
We still have a chance.